Welcome to the sixth session of the podcast corner of the OCSC event. And I'm thrilled to have Professor Alvaro Barbosa from the Vice Rector of Internationalization and Academic Affairs of the USJ, University of St. Joseph, Macao.
In Macao, yes.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us today. And I would love to hear, your vision of the universities in the future. What does it look like?
Okay, let's start with that. That was the topic of this session, so I wanted to talk a little bit about how do we think about the university from now on, because I would think that it is well known that both education in general, but higher education for sure, is in a changing moment. There's a number of transformations that occurred in the last 5 years that really challenge what a university should be or will be in the future. We know, starting with the pandemic. The pandemic was a big disruption.
Right.
Yes, it's true that during the pandemic it worked out well to move online, but we cannot forget that it worked out well to have the transition to online, because prior to that we had face-to-face. But does that also mean that if we start with online and we always do online, is that going to work as well? We don't know. So there's a transformation there, this change with the online, and then we have geopolitics around the world. This trend of the countries isolating themselves into somehow, making it more difficult for students to go internationally. And then finally, if that wasn't enough, we have the advent of artificial intelligence, which is a foundational transformation that it will produce such a change in the way that we develop and acquire knowledge, that universities need to follow that trend and try to understand how to integrate all of that in their curriculum. So yes, there's a moment that we all realize that universities need to change. We hear more and more the students wondering whether or not it is a worthwhile experience of their time and money to study in universities. Are they better off spending that time doing their own business or starting to work? Will they build a better future for themselves?
That is absolutely true.
So more and more that's the case, right? So we really need to think very hard about what can the university offer. What is the university experience for students in this day and age when they can an answer to whatever they want is either on an online lecture or in an AI prompt. I think universities need to think very hard about that. And my university, we've been very lucky to be part of a lot of discussions in this space. We've been USJ is part of several international associations of networks of universities. We actually have leadership positions on those.
I see.
And because of that, we've been participating in many discussions with many of the presidents from other universities in Southeast Asia and worldwide. In July we have a meeting in Mexico. We're talking with universities in Latin America. And I think there's a few ideas about what the university of the future looks like. There's a few ideas about that already. So
could you tell us a little bit more of the real example of the ideal university within the 10 years or within the 15 years ahead?
So we know that universities have always been the way they are. Many people ask me, how does the university of the future look like? And my answer is very simple. The university of the future, to me, it looks like the university of the past, but not the recent past, the old past, or the original universities that were created for people to develop themselves as human intellectuals. The exploration of intellectual inquiry. And that was why university was created, for a group of people that wanted to develop themselves at that level. And so, later on, we start to look at universities more as places where you develop skills. And that means that you're going to learn how to do certain things that are useful in the established and existing job market. And that's still valid to a certain degree, but less and less, because now with the level of automation that computer technology and particularly AI is bringing to the table, those kinds of jobs are at stake now. So that's why I say, so for me, the university of the future will resemble more the university of the past, where it's about really developing human beings at the intellectual level, so that they can operate in a world with a higher view and a higher perception of the world from the intellectual point of view.
So when you say intellectual,
yes.
So what sets of skills or what character that the students should have?
So I think the word intellectual has a very strong connotation, but actually some of those skills are very human. No, first of all, I would say one thing. The focus of universities needs to shift from teaching to learning. And that means that when universities are focused on teaching, that means their model is about having someone that presumably is the teacher, and that will have prepared a lecture and will convey the information to the students and teach them. I don't think, and this is a very polemic statement that many people don't like, but there's not much space for teaching in university, but there's a lot of space for learning, and there's many ways you can learn.
That's right.
And so to learn in the world that we live in today, it requires you to acquire information and knowledge and experience through many different ways. Now, those ways have radical implications these days, and they require a different set of skills, as you said, from the young people. And those skills are not the ones that we might think were the ones that we wanted from the past. I think what we want to have today, young people coming to the university, if you want to think about a university as an experience, as a place where you go to learn, but not to be taught, to learn through experience by engaging, you're learning more or as much from your peers as your supervisors or your professors. So a place where you meet like-minded people. So all of that sounds like collaboration. So I think one of the most crucial skills that is required for people to engage in a higher education experience in the future is the ability to collaborate, to work with others. And there's a nuance there that is actually very critical at this moment, is collaborate not only with humans but also with computers. That means because AI is very powerful, as we know, but not as an asset. The biggest change that AI is bringing is not the ability to obtain information that we had before. It required a little bit more work. We didn't have the way to have things synthesized the way that AI does. But AI, the AI technology as it's being deployed in the market today, requires people to operate with it in a collaborative way. In computer science, up until now, when you talk about humans and computers, you would talk about interaction, human-computer interaction. That was the key word, so there's a huge research about that. But now we're talking about human-computer collaboration because you think about AI as a collaborator. So the best way to take advantage of the power of AI. So I think that one of the most important skills that people need to have is the ability to collaborate both with humans and with digital technology, AI being one of them, yes.
And how do you incorporate these concepts into the real-life classroom?
Well, in very practical ways, because the other aspect of this, and that will probably answer your question, is that I said that the focus should be on learning, right? So the best way to learn is learning by practice, learning by doing, right? So if you learn something while you do it, by practical development, you'll never forget it. If you just memorize something and write it down on an exam, the moment you leave the exam, you forget about everything. You delete from your brain, right? So we all have this experience.
It happened to all of us.
So I think the models for, if you want to look for a really good model for what a university should be, you have to look no further than the School of Fine Arts. The field of the arts has been a long time learning by practice paradigm, a model of education. So how does a lecture on the university of painting looks like? It's not a professor teaching the student. No, the student go into the classroom, they have a canvas, they start painting, and then the professor goes around and have engagements, they collaborate with the student. Oh, now you paint here, or you paint there, then you go to the other. So this old model that has been existing for centuries, really, in the School of Fine Arts, we can look back again into the university of the past as a model where human-to-human collaboration works well. So, by engaging in this way, in a very practical way, learning by doing, I think it's the best way for you to incorporate these AI technologies into this new paradigm. Because if you just think about AI like in the old model, right? So there's an exam. Student go home, you use AI, you bring the answer. That's not valid. No. But if you think about AI in a collaborative way, as a learning experience, and you go into the classroom, and the professor and the student together, they explore how you can use this interaction and this collaboration to produce the best optimal results so that you can learn what you want to learn. That's a way to do it.
I'm glad to hear that, because I heard some of the ideas of against the AI, that we should go back to traditional learning with no AI at all.
That would be the worst thing you could do.
But now I'm hearing that
I think we should embrace it absolutely, but we need to embrace it in a different way, in a way that it makes sense in the classroom. And there's paradigms where this has been done. Collaboration and learning by practice. And there's another thing about AI that is very interesting to me that sometimes people don't consider. Everybody experiences to some degree to use AI for something, right? But the biggest challenge of using those AI tools is that if you cannot formulate your question the right way, accurately enough, if you cannot have a proposition that will lead to the results that you really want, the results you get are not very good.
No.
So what does that tell you? That to be able to use AI, you need to be able to ask the right questions.
Right.
And asking the right question is the most important thing you can learn in a university. Not giving the right answer. It's more important to learn how to ask questions, and that's the foundation of philosophy. You talk to any philosopher, they'll never give you an answer, but they will give you a lot of questions that make you think. And finally, you will go into the right direction because you ask the right questions. But answers are overrated. Questions are very important. And AI, as it is, the paradigm of AI, which will change. There's many things that AI will do that is not necessarily the ChatGPT model where you ask some questions and get some answers. But as it is now, it's already making us focus on something really important, which is if you cannot ask the right questions, you're not going to get the results you want. So to me, that's a good thing.
I agree with you as well.
Yes.
And could you, because we have really short time, I would love to hear more.
Sure.
Could you tell us about what you think about critical thinking and creativity incorporating in classroom?
Well, that's very complementary to what I was talking about, because I would think that the teaching of creativity as a process is actually the other dimension that will be absolutely necessary, because it's a human quality. In the age of computer digital technology that we have with AI, we need to find what is it that humans are really about. So what should we be focused on? And the characteristic of human beings that really stands out is creativity, because as we were just saying before in our conversation before we start this podcast, the children, when they are born in the first years of their life, they are primarily creative. And they have the incredible imagination. If I look at a pen like this, I look at a pen, I see a pen, but they see an airplane or they see a missile or something, or a rocket. So imagination is very essential for human condition. Yeah, I know that AI can produce imaginative results, but imagination as part of the human essence and consciousness is the soul of humans, is the characteristic that defines us. And so teaching creativity is absolutely essential. And I emphasize the idea of teaching, because creativity can be approached as a process that can be learned, let's say. Okay, so if you many processes, the most popularized one is the design thinking from Stanford. We all know that. And that's a way for you to focus on creativity as a way to solve problems. And the big difference between this methodology, like this design thinking methodology, and the traditional methodologies that we have from the scientific method already existing for many centuries, is that it relies on having empathy for the context. And once again, empathy is one of the cornerstones of the human condition. Here in Thailand, you have krem chai, right? So this is empathy.
Krem chai. It's like human.
Yes, so there's nothing more human than that. So I think that we need to focus on what makes us humans, and we need to incorporate that as part of our training. And only teaching critical thinking is not enough. So if you think about your brain as split it in two halves, one half is for critical thinking, the other half is for creative thinking, and you need to develop it. All the curriculums today, they have critical thinking, and I recommend that they still have it because we need to know common sense and critical thinking is still lacking amongst humans, and so AI has some of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's not enough. If you want to have a university that is a learning environment where people have an experience of a practice that changing their life as a human being, it needs to be a creative place, a place of empathy, a place where you learn. And without empathy and creativity, it's also not easy to collaborate, which is the key for the future. So all of these things need to be part of how we design universities, and it's very difficult to change. The universities that exist, they are established and they operate in certain ways, but there's a chance to create new universities. Maybe if we cannot change the old ones, maybe we should create new universities where these ideas are the foundation of what we're trying to build, a learning environment, not just a teaching environment, a learning environment.
Wow. I really see the bright future from what you're saying. And
it's an exciting moment. Contrary to most people look at it as the end of the world, I think it's a brand new dawn. It's the dawn of a new time, a new era, where humans can be humans and not trying to be optimized mechanical machines.
Definitely. Thank you so much
Thank you very much
for sharing your vision and the insights of what the new universities should look like and what set of skills should students have.
Yes.
And thank you.
Thank you.